Sean, West Ham finally won a game.
You happy about that or not?
Welcome back to West Ham Unofficial. I hope you are. Well, you join us for a Premier League roundup show. Something a little bit different tonight, of course, because West Ham played on Monday night, which prevented us from doing the roundup shows. So we bring it to you on this Wednesday night where there's some tedious FA Cup games going on if you want to watch that. But stay here with us. Otherwise, we're going to run through what we think will happen towards the back end of the season as we enter business end. March is coming up with just, 13 games left for each side in the Premier League. Who will win the title? The title race is heating up. Who will pick up those European spots and who will be relegated back down to the Championship? That's what we're going to discuss in this show. It'll be interactive, so lob your comments into the chat and we will fire through them as well. But Sean is with me as always. Sean, how are you?
Not bad, mate. A bit strange doing this on a Wednesday, but like you said, we're going to mix it up.
We certainly are. Spurs didn't play last weekend. You had a nice weekend off?
I didn't. Well, obviously we haven't got Europe this year either, so we are one game a week. But I'll be honest, I didn't miss it. I've just having 1 week off. I didn't miss it a lot, to be honest. It was a bad little break.
Fair enough. Yeah, of course. West Ham didn't ruin my weekend, and they didn't ruin my Monday or Tuesday to go alongside it as well. But before we carry on, let's see who we've got. Usual suspect. I hope you're well. The Bowling Lounge as well. I hope everybody is keeping well. So, what I want to start with, should we start at the bottom or the top? Should we start at the bottom and work our way up? Sean, does that sound like a plan?
Well, start at the bottom because I suppose the most recent news this week was probably Everton getting 4 points back. So that probably
so
that's the most recent sort of change,
that. Right, so there is the Premier League table if you squint. So we've got Sheffield United bottom on 13 points, Burnley joint bottom on 13 points, a jump up to Luton on 20 points. I'll make it a bit bigger. Can I make it any bigger? There we go. We only need those there, really. So that's the games played. That's the points, if that makes any sense at all. We'll put Brentford and Everton into the relegation battle as well. Why not? So that's what we're dealing with. Luton on 20. Then there's a jump up to Nottingham Forest on 24. Then Brentford are on 25, and Everton, of course, rejuvenated with their 4 point deduction. So Everton would have been on 21 before the news this week. So 21 would have put them in 17th. They've jumped back up to 15th, which leaves a 4 point gap between Luton and the chasing or the chasing away pack, I suppose you call them, down there. Has this week sort of consolidated those three back down there again for you, Sean?
Not 100%. I think Everton have got another case to get the outcome of that, and I think they've moved the date. So originally, the second case they've got to answer was going to be announced after the end of the season.
Yeah,
which is ridiculous because the last game would have finished and no one had known who's going down. So I think they've brought it forward now. So if they appeal, the appeal date will come out. The result of the appeal will be a week before the last game.
Really?
So I don't know what they're going to do with that, but it wouldn't surprise me if there's something like another 6 points off again. That wouldn't shock me. Like, it might even be like 10 points and they get it reduced to 6 again. And then that will probably suck them back into it slightly. Luton just keep being Luton, don't they? They're quite entertaining. They have a go, but I think we've seen it before a little bit where they've been unlucky, they're unlucky, and every week you sort of say it. Team like Forest, I might be wrong, but I think they got half a chance tonight in the FA Cup against United. They need a win. I don't think they got bad players, but I don't know what their form. I don't know where they are in the form table, but I don't think they've had a win for a while. The team there,
they beat us, Forest, too, last week.
Was it last week? Was it?
Yeah.
So they would have been on. What would they would have been on 21 then? The team there, which could get sucked in, and I've slagged these off a few weeks ago, and it was a team that you landed on your feet playing on Monday. I think Brentford have been poor for a while. I don't know if they'll be poor enough to get into the bottom three, but I think I said when my lot played them the other week, they looked like a team who'd almost stopped playing football a little bit and was trying a bit of the dark arts a little bit.
Do you know? Do you know what? Obviously, I watched it on Monday, and the overarching comment I had about Brentford was they were quite clear there for a reason. I thought they were really poor, and they always turn up against us. Thomas Frank has beaten us in the league 5 from 5. They've become our bogey side over the last couple of years, and I was quite shocked how there wasn't really a game plan. Look, when you concede 2 goals in the first 7 minutes, then it's always difficult. And he had like a bit of a team huddle to try and rejuvenate them, and it didn't really work. And the staggering part of it, where they got a goal and it was back to 4-2 with 10 minutes to go, there wasn't really any urgency or desire to go on and try and get back into the game from that point on. Listen, the game was done at 4-1. It was a little bit like at 4-2, and they never really pushed on in the last 10 or 15 minutes. I just got the feeling there was no plan, and I don't think I can't even remember Tony touching the ball in the whole game, and
No.
he's interested. I think there's issues there at Brentford, and we have been awful, and Brentford fans would have been quite angry because we haven't got a game since December, and we comfortably beat them, and it wasn't too much stress, and that's for Brentford, where I would agree with you, they are struggling.
I spotted against Arlo. I'll be honest, I hadn't watched them play for probably a couple of months before they played my lot about 3 weeks ago. I was surprised at their lack of effort to play football. And I thought the Brentford in the last couple of seasons in the Premier League, look, they'd have a go a little bit more. They want to see the ball. And I remember saying at the very start of the season they lost a few key players. That Tony went. I think a new keeper I think he's rubbish. I really don't rate him. I don't rate him at all. Rico Henry, the fullback's not in there. I don't know. I don't know if those out. I don't know whether a lot of the players are bargains, aren't they? I don't know if it's just caught them up a little bit. But I did know
Chelsea
lack of trying to play football. At least one up, are they? They probably won't be bad enough to get sucked in this year. But I said a few times on the show, it wouldn't surprise me if they're struggling next year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I felt like, and I agree, they've played some good football in a couple of years they've been up since, and they just seem to be lacking a plan, and whether they've been dragged into it a bit this season, and Frank has gone, right, we're going to revert back to doing what most sides do in a relegation dogfight, and let's be defensive and let's do what we're doing essentially. And I don't think it's worked. Rico Henry, Ivan Toney, a couple of players, they lost the keeper and they brought in a new keeper who I agree hasn't been fantastic this season. I think everything's just catching up with them, and I think to an extent you could link it to what I think could happen to Brighton over the next couple of years. Is you've mentioned it before, Sean, how they've been that no one's ever heard of, and they're brilliant, but that can only go on for so long. And I feel like Brentford is another team that enters that category.
I sort of wonder as well a little, because obviously Frank was linked to a few jobs. I expect if your job come up, he might be linked to you. I don't know. But I look at them a little bit and think, has he taken them as far as he can with the sort of the structure of the club? Because is it what they call it, their little black book of football contacts or something they call it, like a conveyor belt. Said before about conveyor belts of talent, it dries up eventually. At Southampton, they're the conveyor belt of talent coming through the youth academy. You have a bleak spell, you don't get every bit of scouting spot on. I just looked at Brentford the last month or two, whether Frank's took them as far as they can. Have they been found out a little bit? That's one to keep. No, I don't know what contract he's got left. And the sort of thing is, if a manager hangs around at a club too long, it diminishes their reputation a little bit. Like he was quite fresh. I think he brought them up. They had a couple of good seasons, and this year you can't just blame missing players because their complete football style has changed. From what I can see, I don't know. I look at it and think if he stays there another season and they're in the dogfight next year, is the credit he's got in the bank is starting to look less and less. So. I don't know. It might be a very, very loyal man, but it wouldn't shock me at all if he walked away from it soonish.
Yeah, fair enough. Before we carry on, let's see who else is joining us. Will, I hope you are well. Cyber as well. Will says, I bet Sheffield United would go down on just about anyone to stay in the Premier. They've been awful this season. You can say so. The factors that we've got to take into consideration here is Luton have got a game in hand. Of course, that game against Bournemouth that got suspended due to the Tom Lockyer incident. So they've got that game against Bournemouth where anything could happen in that. Additionally, what we've discussed about Everton, they've had 4 points reimbursed and given back to them, but they've got that other charge hanging over their head. And as Sean alluded to earlier, we don't know, is it going to be towards the end of the season? And that's just so bizarre. I didn't know that. Are we going to get to the final day of the season and at 4 o'clock or whenever the games finish on the final day, are we still not going to know who's going to go down?
What I'm sure I did read that their appeal answer will be announced the week before the last game. So I've just wondered who those teams on the bottom have got in the last 2 games. Do you know what I mean?
Have a look. Yeah.
Like if Everton have got like a 6-pointer and.
I'm gonna have a gander. Right, so Everton have got Sheffield United at home on the penultimate day of the season. So on the 11th of May, they've got Everton at home, and then they've got Arsenal away on the final day.
Yeah, it could be a final twist. These I don't agree. I don't know why it's got to take so long. Really, I really don't. It is wrong, really.
And as well, Forest have got a charge looming over them as well, so they might get a points deduction as well. We haven't talked about Forest massively under Nuno Espirito Santo there. So, I mean, they've got issues as well. So, realistically, Everton and Forest get points deductions and Burnley stay up. I mean, anything can happen.
Yeah, God, I hope they don't stay up.
I know. So it's difficult. We can completely rule out Sheffield United and Burnley. Luton have got an outside chance. Go on.
I think Luton need this. I think I said it a few weeks ago that they've sort of ticked over, getting the odd draw here, the occasional win. I think they need to keep that up because usually with these small clubs who you expect to struggle, a lot of them can be like plucky underdogs, get a few wins. Then they usually hit the buffers around this time of the season where they get nothing, where they'll go on and lose like 6-7 in a row.
Their final games of the season, just to interject. So their final 1, 2, 3, 4. So their final 5 are Brentford at home, Wolves away, Everton at home, West Ham away, and they've got Fulham at home on the final day. Fulham, who will probably have nothing to play for. So that's 5 favourable fixtures to end the season.
Yeah, you could see them getting 6 or 7 points from that maybe if they hit a bit of form. Like I said, teams like Luton, we've seen it every single season. There's always 1 or 2 you don't expect to do well, and they just go out like a light in the end. I won't rule them out, even without the points coming back for Everton or taken away. I won't rule them out yet. I know we did it first game of the season, we ruled them out, but they've had a go. I would like to see them have a go right to the very end, though.
No, so would I. I mean, well, when we did our pre-season predictions, of course, Josh was unable to join us tonight, so I can't actually. I think we all predicted unanimously for the 3 to go down. I think. Actually, I think I said Forest have got an outside chance of going, but I think I said Luton, Burnley, and no, I didn't know because people didn't think Burnley were going to go down, did they? People thought Burnley would be like mid-table.
I think we all expected a little bit more from Company. Basically, we said that last week. He's had a bit of a free pass. I think we all expected a bit more from them. I think a lot of people thought they'd be down there, but not like as poor as they have been. Looking at the table there, I would have expected Burnley to be around about where Brentford and Forest are more. So I would another 10 points on. Do you know what I mean? I think that would have been fair. Might have gone down, but you'd have thought they'd been putting up a bit more of a fight and looked a bit better as well. I thought they were going to be a better football team to watch. They've just been nearly as poor as Sheffield United, really.
Chelsea have equalised 1-1 against Leeds, but so it's difficult to sort of pin a prediction down because of the factors that we've discussed, because of points deductions and all the rest of it. So I'm not going to ask you who you think will go down, but I'm going to ask you what would be the least surprising outcome at the end of May or whenever it's announced. Who would you not be surprised in the slightest go down? Is it the 3 that are there?
Yeah, I think that would be the least surprising. Yeah. I'm trying to work out how the league table's been written. Where's the goal difference? Have you got the plus minus on there?
So, right, let me have a look at this. The goal difference is right over here. I'm going to have to zoom back in again here, aren't I? Right, so the goal difference is over here. Right, okay. So it's the one right on the right. So goal difference, minus 44 for Sheffield United, minus 33 for Burnley, minus 16 for Luton, minus 14 for Forest, minus 11 for Brentford, minus 6 for Everton.
But Luton are still in it with the goal difference as well, really, because that's always worth a point. So they're still in it. Do you know what I mean? That's only 2. That's just a 1 weekend swing that could be. So, I think the least surprising to be the 3 at the bottom now. But didn't I say the 3 above them? I think Bournemouth are safe. You can forget them. I think they've got too much about them. But the 3 above them, they got to be careful. I know you said Forest beat West Ham the other day, but Brentford, they got to start playing again. they're not exactly out of it on 25 points.
For sure. Oh yeah.
I did
there's
one
still
final thing on Brentford. I know they've got to play him, but I don't like Tony is a man. He doesn't sound like the best person in the world. Do you know what I mean? He's quite very, very arrogant. I think he's not. He's always got a strop on. I just wonder if they might suffer with him a little bit as well. Really.
Yeah, there's that concern there as well. So the relegation debate is done. We'll tick that off. So that two to go. We're going to talk about the European places and who will grab them, and then of course we'll get onto the title race at the end of the show. So keep putting your predictions in. Let's just take some of your predictions for the drop zone, if I can find them on my screen. Sheffield United, Burnley, and Forest says Dad. There we go. WSU58, I hope you are well. Yeah, after 8 minutes, Leeds were, I mean, to be fair, we hadn't scored an outfield goal for about a month and we scored 2 in 7 minutes. So, anything could happen, can't it? Mr. Terry Noosh, hope you well. Better late than never. Do you know, I looked around Lidl and Wincanton today. Lidl and Morrison's today in Wincanton and still couldn't find any curry sauce, Terry. There must be a shortage of curry sauce ahead of Everton away on Saturday. I couldn't find any. So if your bottle's empty, then it's going to have to stay empty, I'm afraid. Feet up. Was it KFC for Tito or something, something inventive like that? Right, so Wolves are winning up against Brighton there early on, just 3 minutes in. Keep us updated. Our soccer special reporters keep us updated on that sense because, Sean really wants both Leeds and Chelsea to lose because he doesn't like
One thing on the FA Cup, did it?
Oh, just take your finger off the mic. There we go.
Oh, sorry, mate.
It's all right.
Something that made me a bit grumpy as always earlier. Why did they do the draw before the 3 ties tonight? What's that? I don't really get. Did they? This is almost like they're getting lazy. We'll just do it now. Whenever
we just do it before. Yeah.
It didn't make sense to me. Just do it after or do it tomorrow night. I don't know. There's no logic there for me at all.
No, I think that's fair. Fair enough. Man United have just hit the bar. Who have United got? Forest, haven't they? Yeah. Man United.
Yeah, Forest have gone. I've seen a lot of the team sheets. Forest have gone a lot stronger than any of the other teams. Like
really?
Southampton have rested about 8 players, and Liverpool. We know their team. Half of them aren't very recognisable. Similar to the weekend. United have almost gone full strength from what I could see.
Yeah. They didn't want a late night doing the draw, so they thought, we'll just do it now. Why not? We'll do it now. Right, let's scroll up on the Premier League table, past the mid-table irrelevancies of Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, Fulham, Chelsea. Shove them in there as well whilst we're at it. Why won't this screen go up? What's going on there? Here we go. Right, 10th. Are they in the... Why wouldn't this screen move? We are live. You can tell this. There we go. Right, let's do this first. So let's take... What battle are you in, Sean? Are you in the Champions League battle?
There's a lot of first of all, I read a comment. I don't know if it was true or not. With Liverpool winning the Carabao Cup, did that open up an extra European spot in the league?
So because if Chelsea would have won it, then they would have got Europa League, which would have knocked us up one, because they're not going to finish in Europe. So because they finished in the European position, then I don't know what's going on with this 5th Champions League space, but as far as we're aware, we've all been knocked down one here, and 6th and 7th, I don't know, 6th and 7th are Europa, and 8th is Conference. That's what we're going to go with because of this 5th Champions League space as worst case. I think that's what's happening. Am I right? Yeah,
there's a lot of ifs and buts. I think I'm not even 100% sure how they're doing this point scoring for the Champions League spot either. Right. I know it's. I did see who are getting it at the moment. At the moment, England's not getting the 5th spot.
Oh, I see.
I know that for a fact. I want to say it was Germany and Italy, maybe. I know obviously you get points for when you win it. I don't know if just like say Man City win the Champions League. I don't know if that'd be enough to get England one. I think we need to get a few almost like into the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
So the likes of yourself,
so really, us winning the conference last year is helping you get a Champions League spot. So you can slate it all you like. But...
No, it's not. It's not. It's all based on this season.
Okay. All right. We'll just. Oh, the dogs appeared.
Yeah. So Man U and Newcastle finished bottom of the Champions League groups.
Didn't help.
That was a shambles. So there's a lot of ifs and buts, but now we know that European spots could come down. Would you say 8th? Did you say
8th? 8th could be conference.
The 8th could be conference. So looking at it, they might just let half the league have European spots the way it's going.
Oh, you love it, don't you? Right, so conference could be 7th or 8th. So out of those 4 that are there, Newcastle, Wolves, West Ham, and Brighton. Let's say one of those is going to win. Is going to get that conference spot. Who are you backing? Go through one by one.
Oh, so what I'm gonna say. Obviously, there's a lot of teams. That whole group there, the inconsistent teams in the league. I think 1 week they're good, 1 week they're poor. If I was gonna get one, this is to finish 8th, isn't it? I think. I think 8th will be Brighton.
Why?
I think they'll just drop one down. I think they are very inconsistent. I think they'll carry. I think they're likely to be out of all them on there, they're the ones most likely to be inconsistent to the end. I think, but basically what I'm saying is, I think you'll probably be a little bit more consistent than Brighton. Believe it or not.
So if Brighton are dropping down to 8th, who's going up to 7th then?
I think it'll be West Ham.
Ooh, where are you finding this confidence?
I just don't think that group of teams this season, Brighton down to Newcastle. I think that's a very, very inconsistent bunch. I don't think you necessarily Brighton. I'm assuming their fans are happy, but I think you've got a lot of fan bases that aren't jumping for joy after time. They're lucky to be in the top half of the table, obviously, but I think West Ham. I know a lot of fans have made a big fuss about Paqueta coming back and changing the team. I think out of all those, I think Moyes will probably stay at least to the end of the season. You've probably got the ability to be a little bit more consistent than Brighton. That's what I think. Obviously, yourself and Brighton are both in Europe still, so that can change it a little bit as well. But yeah, I will say West Ham 7th. And again, I think I sort of didn't knock the teams finish like yourself finishing 7th and 8th for the last few years because there's so many inconsistent teams in the league. Newcastle have been a bit of a flop so far. But yeah, I will go Brighton 8th, West Ham 7th.
Do you lodge any hope for an outside chance of Gary O'Neill's Wolves? What have you made of them?
I don't. Oh, that's a good question. Because they beat my lot twice this season.
Yeah.
And they didn't deserve to win at home, but they probably deserved to edge it the other week. He got his tactics spot on. I don't know if he can do that against every team. That's the problem with them. I think he got his tactics spot on against us. They exploit. Probably get partly Ange's mistake against it. He exploited the fact we had 2 very, very key players to the system missing, and that was possibly Ange's fault a little bit that he didn't tweak it a little bit more. Basically, I said last week, his tactics reminded me a little bit of what Conte was like when he was at Tottenham. He'd soak up the pressure, restrict shots on goal, restrict the keeper making saves, and then do on the counter attack with a very well organised move. And like I said, he exploited some mistakes in the weaker areas, but I'm not sure he can do that against other big teams. I think our team is a lot newer than a lot of teams. Our manager's a lot newer to the league than a lot of teams. So yeah, I think Wolves will stay top half, but what are they on now? So it's pretty tight down there, isn't it? So it is very tight. So it is very fine margins whether they jump at the 7th or go down to 10th or 11th. But I will say they'll stay about where they are. I think they'll probably battle out with Newcastle between 9th and 10th.
Yeah. Rumour has it Klopp is leaving in 12 games. Klopp leaving. No one's mentioned it, have they? Nobody at all. Right. Jake needs 120 points for what? For 120 points for what? You're going to have to elaborate. Right. What we're going to do to round this section off, we're going to analyse the run-ins for those 4 teams. I'm going to bring it up on screen as well if all things go well. Right. Brighton's run-in is Bournemouth away, Villa at home, Newcastle away, and Man United away on the final. Man United home on the final day of the season. Our run-in is an absolute stinker. Liverpool at home, Chelsea away, Luton at home, Man City away to cap off the season. Wolves have Luton at home, Man City away, Palace at home, and they finish with a Liverpool away, so they haven't got a fantastic run-in. And Newcastle ends with Sheffield United at home. Then they've got Burnley away, Brighton at home, and then they end with Brentford away.
Yeah, that could be a 12-point finish for Newcastle.
Yeah.
I would not surprise me if they get maximum points from that.
So Newcastle, that's one team we haven't discussed. They've been a bit up and down this season. Obviously, there's only 2 points between Newcastle and us and Brighton in 7th and 8th. So you still got to say they are in with a chance there.
Yeah, they are. I think they're a team probably behind the scenes are a little bit frustrated because they can't spend a lot of this money.
Yeah,
and that's possibly why Eddie Howe's still in the job. We are talking about Newcastle, aren't we?
We are. Yeah.
my mind went then. Yeah, he's been under a tiny bit of pressure, but I think they're in a position where it's not worth sacking him. Really, I don't know what they've got to do or how many years they've got to be in the club so they can spend a couple of $100 million. I think when that day comes, I think they might look elsewhere and change it. That's probably why there's not massive amount of pressure from the get. Well, I don't think they're going to get Champions League again this year, but yeah, I think funny season for them. Really, I think they massively overachieved last year. I've said that quite a few times. I thought the chasing pack were poor, so their Man United snuck in on default a little bit. I thought, but yeah, I think they're probably a team for the next. I think it might be a longer project than what a lot of people thought, and even then, I'm not sure if it's going to be like a Man City. I don't know if they've missed the boat a little bit because obviously a lot of the rules have changed now, haven't they, with the spending and what you can and can't spend money. I think Man City owners snuck in at the right time, put a few things in place. I know they probably bent every rule going, but it clearly at the time you could probably do it and get away with it, and I think they'll probably still get away with it now. Might get a little slap on the wrist, but probably expect Man City and getting like a 15-point deduction in a season where they're still going to finish second or third, probably.
Yeah, that's probably what will happen. Much. Yeah, probably. Let's move up the table even further and into the Champions League race. So, fighting out for second, third, and fourth. Or I suppose you could add inside the either 5th or 6th or 6th or 7th for Europa League. So let's just fire through them. Man United, Europa League, I guess.
I think they'll stay where they are.
Yeah,
I think that's where they'll remain. They haven't got any Europe, obviously. They're out of that already. That will help them. I just think not even just this season, for quite a few years now, the club hasn't seemed that happy. Whoever's been the manager seems to, you hear of dressing room unrest. Players chucking their toys out. Even this week, I'm hearing it. Half the squad weren't happy about training Sunday. I think it was yesterday I read that Rashford and Ten Hag aren't on speaking terms. I think the same sort of rubbish you've heard for the last 3 or 4 managers at United. They're capable of going on a little run, but I work every day with a United fan. What he's said to me is, even when they win games, they very rarely won them well. Do you know what I mean? I can't remember the exact stat, but haven't they conceded nearly as many shots as like Luton or Sheffield United or something like that?
They're down there with us, yeah.
Yeah, really bad. Yeah, they're just never convincing United. Like, any team can have a bad win, but you need to have a good win like you did on Monday, just to remind the fans or even the neutrals what they're capable of. But for United, I just don't think we haven't really seen it. They've won plenty of games, obviously, but I can't remember watching them where they've really blown a team away.
No.
They sort of always scraped wins, maybe a bit fortunate in games, late winners. Yeah, so for that reason, I have my doubts that they can change that. They'll carry on winning games, but I think they'll just drop points because they just don't win them well and convincing.
Yeah. So then when I was planning for this earlier, when I was sort of running through what I do, I got up to Tottenham and Villa and I went, I think those two will swap around. I think Tottenham will finish 4th. I think Villa will finish 5th. There's a 5, but then I look, there's a 5-point gap there. You've got a game in hand. I don't know who that's against, but if you win that, you go 2 points behind them. You'd have to play them again, Villa, at some point. So if you beat them, then all of a sudden you're back. So really, that 5-point gap can be eliminated rather quickly. Who takes 4th? Who takes 5th? Or who takes Champions League? Who takes Europa League, Sean?
It's a good one. I think our game in hand's Chelsea away, and we never win there.
Oh, right, okay.
And we play Villa next week.
Right.
We play Villa next Sunday. It's 12 o'clock, I think. 3 days after they play Ajax away in the Europa League.
Oh, well, there we go.
It's a fine margin on this one. I think personally, we've got the better starting 11 on players, but I think we're a couple of years behind the manager at Villa, who's doing a great job. Like if you said to me which Villa players do you take for our starting lineup, I would struggle to pick more than one or two. But we're a very new team. Evident like against Wolves, where we missed our two fullbacks have been outstanding. Both of them are out. We haven't got cover at fullback yet. we've got fullbacks, but they can't play the system.
No.
So we're a very new team. Like in that respect, we've got more money than most clubs in the league all of a sudden. So we're linked to every single player going. I think it was Eze and who's the Wolves winger that did well against us the other week. Neto,
yeah.
So we're linked to them. I think I've said before. I thought we'd have a good season this season. I think we sort of have. I always said we'd be better next season. So it's a fine mark. Villa they've been okay. They haven't blown me away. But they're doing enough. But that's what the manager does. He's always done that. When he was in Spain, he did that. They weren't ever one of the best sides to watch, but he won all those Europa Leagues. Do you know what I mean?
But they just consistently win football matches under the radar a little bit.
He knows what he's doing. I can't really knock him for that. But like I said, I think we're capable of beating them in a week or two. Andy's had best part of a fortnight working on the team, and that might do us a favour. We've got Palace at home this week. We've got a very tough April and May, and they've just changed one of the kickoff all for TV. I think we're playing away to Newcastle on a Saturday lunchtime now. So they've just changed that. And I think that's in the middle of playing Liverpool and Chelsea as well.
Yeah, our game's been changed to 8:15 as well. Yeah, you've had quite a few changed. Yeah.
So I can't call it. I would be disappointed if we fell out of the top 5. Let's put it like that. But
yeah,
that'd be a great season. I do think we'll be better next year, and we will strengthen.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping the manager had this little 2-week break to refresh it. We've had a couple, not just a defeat the Wolves. We've had a couple of. When I told you before, we played well in patches. We've started slow. Do you know what I mean? We've got a bad habit. Well, we've got a bad habit of conceding very late, but also a good habit of scoring very, very late. So it's been a bit of a mishmash of a season, but it's got us at the 5th. We've got the players there. We have got the players there. If we can get a bit more of a tune out with the likes of Kulusevski, Bentancur, Bissouma, Maddison, don't forget a lot of these players. We've had an injury-ravaged season so far. Villa haven't as much. We've got to finish the season strong, and there's not really an excuse, really, apart from that it's just a very new and fresh team. I think we might entertain more than most in the league. We've got to play. I think our record against the top 3 teams is better than most in the league so far this season. We've still got to play all 3 of them. We're going for the title, so we'll see, mate. We'll see.
Yeah. When I think of Villa, and Josh is more qualified to speak about this, so we'll talk to him about this, of course, as the weeks go on. But I mean, Villa had that couple of weeks where they beat Arsenal and City inside the space of about 4 days, and then everybody was like, "Oh, Villa in the title race," and I think they drew to Sheffield United or something, and then they just had a few dodgy results, and they've just dropped back a bit, but. Villa are a side that have just, as I said earlier, consistently won football matches and gone under the radar. Apart from that, a week, Sean's just sorted out the dog. Yeah. They've gone under the radar a bit, and I think it's difficult to call that. It's really difficult to call. Look, it's still a great season for Villa. If you'd have asked any Villa fan, if you finish, 4th or 5th, they'd snap your hand off for it at the start of the season. So they're still, I'd imagine, they're still all very happy with the proceedings currently. So look, that will be an interesting battle within the European battle, but of course it's only one place to go next, and it is the title race. I'll just shove that up a bit so we've got the 3 in it on there. I'll get the goal difference in it as well. So look, Liverpool, City, Arsenal, 60, 59, 58. They've all played 26 games. Goal difference, Liverpool 38, Man City 33, Arsenal 39. That can change in a week, though. City can go and pump a team 6-0, and that's all level. So look, it's tight as anything. It's tight as anything. Before we go through the run-ins, Sean, just your gut instinct for it. Who's your gut? What's your gut saying to win it?
I don't know, mate.
All right, should we run through the run-ins first, shall we?
Yeah, go on then.
So we'll start with Arsenal. Their last 5 are Wolves, you lot. They've got Bournemouth at home. They've got Man United away. They finish at Everton at home. City have got you lot. Then they've got Forest. Then they've got Wolves, Fulham, and end against us on the final day at home. And Liverpool's final 4 are us. Then they've got Tottenham at home, and then they've got Villa and they've got Wolves. So look, Liverpool's running is quite tough. When you look at that, they've got us, Tottenham, Villa, and Wolves all going to be fighting for something. Realistically, the others not so bad, but it's incredibly difficult to tell, and that doesn't provide any further indication. Listen, I've got no idea who's going to win it, and for the first time in a while, I think we might have a situation going down to the final couple of weeks. You could argue it did last season, but
out of these 3 teams, have they all got to play each other again once? Do you know that?
Let's have a look. So Arsenal haven't got to play any of them. So Arsenal don't play any in the final 5.
So they, towards the end of the season, have they got any big?
So literally Arsenal in there. So they've got Sheffield United next week. Then the only 2 big games from Big 6 clubs then is they've got Tottenham, they've got City at the end of March, and they've got Chelsea just before that. But they've got City at the end of March, and then you lot at the end of April, and then that's it.
So Arsenal do play City still then?
Yeah.
What about Liverpool and City? Have they got to play each other again?
Liverpool do not have to play. Yes, they do. March the 10th, Liverpool play City.
So City have got to play both of them, basically.
Yeah.
And Liverpool and Arsenal don't have to play against each other again.
Yeah.
And looking at the final 5, I'm going to be boring and say that Man City will still take it then.
Yeah,
because
so.
I think I've seen a couple in the last 5 games. Liverpool and Arsenal had where I thought they might. One of them had United, didn't they? They put in there. They've all got us, all got Spurs. I'd be disappointed if Tottenham lost to all 3 of those. Liverpool would want to do us at home, obviously, with that goal they had disallowed in the previous game. I'd be gutted if we rolled over for Arsenal at home. I think we're capable of beating them at home. We drew with them and deserved to draw away. I think Ange had only been there about a month at the time. I'm assuming the FA Cup finals the week after the final game. The Champions League's the week after that. I've read this. I'm going to copy the statement a bit. Some people are saying Arsenal need to decide whether they're going for the League or the Champions League. They probably don't have the squad to do both.
True.
Man City probably only have the squad to do both. They can keep De Bruyne fit, and maybe if Stones he's still out, and Ian Walker fit, if they can get bodies back a little bit like that. I know Grealish went off, but he's not been used as much. I think Man City will probably just take it. I know Liverpool are top now. I don't know how long Salah's out for. I know they're scoring goals plenty without him, but I don't know if they've actually got the quality to last right to the end, but I could be wrong. And Arsenal, I think they've got quite more out of the 3. I think they're the luckiest team of the 3. I think they can play very good football. I think they've got an absolute heap of goals from set pieces, which I don't think a lot of people have seen coming. But yeah, at this stage, how many games have we got left now?
So we've got 26. So 38 minus 26. How many is that?
12, is it?
12 games left. Yeah.
I would still say Man City, but it's tight. That's just if you come back in 3 games time, I could have changed my mind completely. But
yeah, I think it's impossible to call crystal clear. I think they're going to win the league. Any of them really, because it could come down to anything. And look, I want Man City to win the league because I don't think I can stomach the Klopp all that Klopp crap, and I don't think I could stomach the Arteta crap if Arteta won it. So if I couldn't stomach the Arteta crap if Arsenal won it. So look, I think you've got a safe bet on Man City because they've been there, done it, won the T-shirt over the last 3 years, and look, if you're going into the final day and if if you're in a scenario where City win, they win the title, then you back City. I mean, they've got us.
One thing I think that might make Liverpool suffer a little bit, I think they're going to go flat out to win the Europa League. It's a send-off.
To send them off,
yeah. Obviously, they want the title as well, but you know what the Europa League's like? It's a lot of games.
Yeah,
you're playing Thursday, Sunday. I just wonder if that might take its toll. I think they will definitely try their hardest to win that.
And then I think it's dependent how quickly they get all these injuries back, because Klopp's had a good moan again about the placement of the FA Cup this midweek.
He was the one that campaigned the winter break, the one that caused this to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
This is unlikely with Arsenal, because obviously they're one down in the Champions League, aren't they? Porto, they'll probably wallop them 3 or 4-0. But if they go out of the Champions League in this early stage, still quite early. Yeah. They got one target only then, and we're back. There's no excuses then. They got, do you know what I mean? So yeah, the next couple of weeks could be key. I just don't see a team dropping off from the three of them really though. Obviously, it looks like Tottenham and West Ham have got a big say how they all get on.
Yeah,
so
we do.
We'll keep an eye on that, definite.
We certainly will. Chelsea are leading now against Leeds. Ronnie, thanks for that. I hope you will. Ronnie reckons City will win it. Listen, that's where your safe, logical bet is with City, but I wouldn't be surprised if either of them won it. Look, I'd be more surprised if Arsenal won it than the other two, to be totally honest. If Liverpool won it, I go, yeah, okay. If City won it, I go, that's normal. If Arsenal won it, I go, okay, that's a bit more of a surprise. I don't know why, but that's just my thing, that because of what's happened and because Arteta hasn't won it there yet, I'm going to say it'll be more of a surprise if Arsenal went on and won it. And of course, they are 2 points behind the leaders currently, but that could be. But I mean, they've got to play.
Is the goal difference quite tight with these as well?
I can scroll across. Goal difference is 38 to Liverpool, 33 to City, 39 to Arsenal. Of course, they've scored bucket loads of goals recently. So
yeah. That, like you said, that doesn't mean a great deal, really, any of that.
No.
But you said, Man City have got to play in both, so that could just swing it completely, couldn't it? So
we will come back to that, of course, as we enter the back end of the season. 12 games to go, and we are none the wiser of who's going to win the league. We're none the wiser to who's going to finish in those European spots. And well, you could say we're none the wiser who's going to take and occupy that final relegation spot. There's plenty still to play for in the remainder of the season. I thought this was a good time just to take stock and just reflect and look forward to what we think will happen in these final 12 games. We're on the home stretch now. We're going to be entering March, then April, then into the all-important deciding May, where we will see what happens in the end. But yeah, Sean, thank you very much. I will see you next week. Who have you got next week?
We are home to Crystal Palace on Sunday, I think.
Oliver Glasner's raging Crystal Palace.
Yeah. Well, we have to play a lot better than we did against Wolves.
Let's see, and of course we'll get your judgment on Oliver Glasner's Crystal Palace and how he's changed them next week as well. We have Everton on Saturday, woohoo, going up to Goodison Park. So hopefully we can do something there. But I'm not going to hold my breath massively. I'm expecting a bouncing Goodison Park because of obviously what's happened in the last few days with the points deduction. But yeah, we'll see. Sean, your final thoughts?
It might not be a pretty game at Goodison Park. That's my final thought. Yeah, I know you played all right the other night, but Everton don't try and play pretty very often. They'll just be fighting for those points. So they'll try and make the game ugly. That's definite.
Yeah, for sure. You're playing Saturday, 3 o'clock. Against Palace. Yeah, I've just checked and Ronnie's confirmed that as well. So yeah, they've got Palace Saturday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Great chip. Oh, the toilets. You just reminded me of the toilets at Goodison Park. Jesus Christ. Honestly, it's like going back. Like, I mean, obviously I didn't go to football in the 90s, but Sean, in the upper tier, you walk into the toilet, there's one line of like urinals, and then there's one cubicle.
When I was about your age or a bit younger, going to a lot of grounds, all the toilets were open air, and you just had a little gutter running along a wall, and that was it. There's no roof on them. It was an outside little drain, and that was it. That was your lot.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Ronnie says, yeah, you've got Villa, big game next week. Of course, we'll get Josh and Sean's thoughts on that after it, and who will have the bragging rights, we will see. But Sean, pleasure as always. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you next Monday. But until then, from me, come on you irons, whatever that lot do down the lane, and we'll see you soon right here on West Ham Official. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Cheers, Sean. Thank